Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. What do you think of the place so far?
Can tell that it's definitely somebody who's into horticulture or gardens. I could tell it has an appreciation for gardens here.
Hi, my name is Renner, and I live in an area called Frogtown in Los Angeles, California. This is my yard. I've been here for 25 years. I feel real comfortable in my home.
What do you like about this area?
I like the neighbors. It's a multinational area. I have Chinese, Vietnamese, Hispanic, white people. Everything is in it. Black people, everything lives in this neighborhood. And they all live very comfortable together with each other. And I like to garden here.
White people are everywhere though, right?
Not here. Not in this area. It's primarily Hispanic and Vietnamese and Chinese. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more black people than we used to have here. Mm-hmm. But I'm the few white people. There's not many of us.
You could count them on your hand?
Yeah. And you can't say that in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm. So Al, go ahead and discuss your background with JPL.
Well, I worked up at JPL from 1968 till I finished with them in 1989. I worked on the Apollo flights, and we sent instruments to the moon. Really, I loved my job. And in '89, we had gone from being space to being war in the Iran-Iraq war, and I had a heart attack because I just didn't enjoy that part of the thing. And then I started to recover, and that got me into gardening by talking with little gangbangers who were gardening, and they just didn't seem to be accomplishing anything. And so I asked them why they didn't, and they confronted me pretty easily and right in front of me. And then when I explained why I couldn't help them, they changed my life. They said, "That's okay, mister. We know we're throwaway kids." And it really changed my life.
So let me ask you this, going back, was your family active in gardening?
No, not really, but I came from a farming community, and my great-grandparents were into farming. And that side of the family, from my grandmother, they all were farmers, and so I got to spend a lot of time on the farms, and I learned how to garden with an old-fashioned gardener. It was fun.
And at what point in your life did you become known as Farmer Al?
The kids named me that, I think, in 2004, 2005, when I was just really starting gardening.
And would this be the students, the young males that you mentioned earlier?
Yes, it was.
You want to discuss that a little bit more, talk about them?
Well, they were being punished, and when I found that out, because I went to volunteer with them, when I found that out, it changes how you're going to teach them, because you wanted to teach them that farming or gardening was fun. It wasn't torture. It wasn't digging holes and rocks and moving things around like they were doing. And we built a garden. And I'm sure I influenced them. In fact, I know I influenced one of them very, very much. Because he came to me 23 years later, right here in my backyard. He said to me, "Mr. Renner, I took your advice." And I said, "What was that?" "I gave you a lot." And he said, "I went to college." And I said, "And what are you doing back in my neighborhood?" He said, "I'm buying my mom and dad a home because I went to Berkeley and I'm making more money than I ever thought I could because of you." And that's a real payback. I loved it.
Your first garden was on Santa Monica and Sunset in Santa Monica, correct?
Yes.
Is this the garden with the students?
That's the garden with the students.
What was that garden's name?
Well, it was part of a youth center, so we didn't even have a name. But it was a definite garden. I taught them how to make money. I taught them a number of things. And we had a beautiful little garden that's no longer there today. It's a building that went in. But it was there for 10 years, even after they were gone.
About how many students working with you in the garden?
I started out with 3, and then there was 5, and then there was 7. They talked to their friends, and I ended up with, and I told them that was as many as I could handle.
Do you remember any of their names?
I remember Eric, I remember Doug, and Cynthia. And that's probably the only 3 I can really remember.
I'm going to read a quote.
Okay.
There's no such thing as a weed, only a misplaced plant.
Yes, I made that statement many times. There's no such thing as a weed, only a misplaced plant, because everything has a place in gardening. And when people don't know that the weeds that they're taking out of a garden are the part that feeds the garden later on, you have to teach them everything into that. And that's why I've always said that. And I used it a lot in my gardening experience out here.
What's the best weed killer, Al?
Pulling it out. There's a number of good weed killers, but you know what? They're always poison. And so you have to be careful, because sometimes they are poisonous to you too. And you do get those things.
Solano Community Garden, where Renner spends most of his time, was kind of a reparation for Dodger Park. Tell us about Solano Canyon Community Garden.
Well, Solano Canyon was a place, when I moved into the canyon by Dodger Stadium, which is just over the hill here. And the neighborhood was trying to do a garden, and they had picked out a little place. And I said, well, I don't want a garden there. What's wrong with this place down here by the freeway? And that's where Solano Canyon Garden is today. But it wasn't at the start. And what happened was, we asked for a little tiny piece to make a community garden, and they gave us 5.5 acres. And so it was an overwhelming community thing for me, and it was only my first garden.
That was your first garden?
Other than the one over in the Sunset Junction area. That was my first garden, really.
What was the experience there versus the experience over at Sunset Junction?
It was adults, basically, and they were interested in saving the community and a number of things which I didn't know anything about. I had to learn all of these things, and I got along with them most of the time. But times they didn't agree with me and I didn't agree with them, but it so happens that we put in a beautiful 5-acre garden that's still there today. And garden number 2 was right down the street.
So back to Solano Garden,
Yeah.
are you still an active gardener there?
I was, until they told me I'm just too old, I'd fall down and stuff like that. And they celebrated my 80th birthday there for me.
Oh, wow.
And I still get invited to the dinners. They serve to all of the gardeners in the neighborhood. And it's just a real good community space.
And you were saying that garden number 2 is?
It's right down here in Frogtown. And it was a little tiny space that I learned how to influence gardeners to come to it. At Solano, I had gardeners. I didn't have to. Over here, I had to learn how to do that. And it started me on my career in building the Community Garden Council.
That started you?
Yeah.
This second garden. And
Second
what
garden.
is there a name for this second garden?
It's the... yes, it has a name too. I call it Frogtown Garden, but that's not what the people call it, and I can't think of the name of it right now.
The Los Angeles Community Garden Council.
Yes.
What role did you play in that?
Well, I was one of the founders of it because I found that when we were building community gardens, they had no way of supporting themselves because you can't get money unless you're a nonprofit. And 25 people in a garden are not going to generate enough money to pay $5,000 and $10,000 to file papers to get a community organizational thing. So we founded the Los Angeles Community Garden Council to fund gardens and run them for them until they could run them themselves.
What year was the LACGC created?
2000.
And what is the mission?
The mission is to create gardens we called it the city of LA, but we created gardens all over.
The mission is to strengthen communities by building and supporting community gardens where every person in Los Angeles County can grow healthy food in their neighborhood.
Absolutely right.
We envision a garden network for Los Angeles where people of all ages and backgrounds live healthy, active lives in a clean environment by growing fresh food. This network fosters the meeting of people from diverse backgrounds to share experience and knowledge, promote urban agriculture, economic justice, provide leadership and job training, and grow more beautiful and sustainable communities.
That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. And I had a partner. He had the money, and I had the ability to do the work. His name was Glenn Dake, and he's still he's retired from the Community Garden Council now also, just because we got old.
You got old.
I was working in a homeless shelter to teach them gardening. I had to find where I could get information on this stuff because I didn't know. I had never done any of this before. I called Yvonne Savio because I'd taken the Master Gardener thing, and she said, well, come to the Los Angeles Community Garden Council meeting. The program that we founded was how to run the garden and how to collect the money and make sure your garden was functioning. Sometimes you have people who they don't like community gardens. They think they're a damage to the community, and you had to convince them because they're your neighbors usually. And in doing that, you also learn how to work with the communities that you're in. And that means, in some cases, like in South Los Angeles, we had to work under power lines. We had to learn how to garden under power lines because they have to have trucks that drive back and forth underneath the power lines to work on them, and yet you didn't want them to tear up your garden.
And so the programs, the Los Angeles Community Garden Council manages 42 community gardens and offers advice, workshops, and community organizing assistance to more than 125 community gardens in Los Angeles County, serving more than 6,000 families.
That's really pretty correct, yes. We are also out of the city of LA. We do it we put gardens in Pasadena. We put gardens in North Hollywood. We put gardens in Van Nuys. And all of these are little cities around the big city. And we did a lot of gardens in the South. It's hard to keep them functioning because that's where a lot of our immigrants go, and they move pretty regularly. Wonderful what we've got. And to think I helped create it, that's even more fun. I don't know how or why I did that. And I didn't know it was going to go to this, meaning 20 years. It's a long time.
My name is Joe, and I want a garden in South Pasadena.
Well, that means you're going to have to deal with the people of Pasadena. And we built a beautiful garden up there. And it was a little bit, as far as I was concerned, overdone. How? They put a hose in every garden that they had. Where in most gardens, you just put a spigot in, and you can water all of the gardens from that spigots, and so forth. And they wanted one in each. And I remember saying to the people that we were building it for, don't you think that's a little overdone? And they said, this is Pasadena, you know.
Where's this garden in South Pasadena located?
We have one in South Pasadena that's right next to the 110 freeway on as you go into Pasadena, and then we have one big garden in Pasadena right across from the Huntington Hospital, right on the freeway. You drive right by it on the freeway area.
Do they have names or?
Pasadena Community Garden and South Pasadena Community Garden.
And what year were they established?
They were built, I would think, somewhere in the area of maybe 2006, 2008.
2008. You've been referenced before as Trader Joe, the real Trader Joe. How does that make you feel to be referenced as Trader Joe?
Well, that's South Pasadena, and I remember sitting at a meeting up there, and this guy named Joe was sitting next to me, and I had no idea who he was, made my presentation, sat back down, and after the meeting somebody said, well, you know, that's Joe from Trader Joe's, and that's where he lived, so it was really a really nice thing to have, and he also supported the Pasadena Community Garden.
Mm-hmm. Did you play a role in the creation of the Altadena Community Garden?
I worked on that one. They were pretty independent on their own, and once you learn how independent a garden can be, you don't have to go back and teach them a lot of things, because they had gardeners, because that was a predominantly black area in the city at that time, and it's in the county, and they were really ahead of the game. They just didn't know how to run a community garden yet. And once they learned how to function money, they learned everything. I don't have to do a thing for the Altadena Community Garden, and it's functioning just wonderfully every day. So is North Hollywood, so is Arleta. There's a number of gardens that are all functioning.
What time frame were you involved with the Altadena Community Garden?
That would have been, I think it was between 2004 and I'm pretty sure it was in the 2004 to the 2008, because I was still working at Jet Propulsion Laboratories in Altadena. It's right there. And so I was close to that garden, but I didn't have to teach them much at all. They were good gardeners, they grew good food, and they knew how to make money on it.
Do you have any memories that stand out regarding the Altadena Garden?
Oh, sure. Every year they have a party, and they invite all the gardeners from all over the city to come to their garden. They have dancing, they have music, they have everything. And they run guides for all of the community garden in the area. Yes, they're really well organized, and they always remember my birthday, or they always end up giving me something at things like that.
Do you attend the parties there in Altadena?
I used to. Mm-hmm. I don't do much now because it's so hard for me to get around.
So, Timothy Dundon, better known as Zeke the Sheik, was the self-proclaimed guru of doo-doo. His famous compost heap of organic matter near Mountain View Cemetery was 30 feet high and covered almost all of a 50-foot by 217-foot lot near his garden, which nourished Altadena residents and others in L.A. County. Timothy died on August 5th, 2019. He was 77 years old. Did you know Timothy?
I knew him wonderfully. I went to his Zoodoo piles all the time to get good compost, because you can't make compost without Zoodoo.
How did you meet Timothy initially?
On the internet. He was on the internet, and I'd had to go see his place. Anything that had to do with farming and gardening, I wanted to see it and we became pretty good friends.
Would that have been in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s?
It was probably in the early 2000s. Because I was pretty non-gardening functioning before that.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any memories of Zeke other than his crap standing out?
Yes. I remember how he always gave lectures when you came over to get Zoodoo from him. He would tell you what was in it, why it was good, what it would do when you put it on your garden. He just would give you a full rundown on the Zoodoo. And that's always great when you have someone who knows what they're doing and they can convey that level of knowledge to anybody who wants to come in. And he never wanted to go in there and do anything different. He always just wanted to do that.
Well, we're probably 25 feet at least off the ground still.
And we're standing on
A pile of doo-doo and organic material that's turned into soil. By mixing death and poo-poo together, you get abundant life. See, like this stuff here has been decomposed to where this is some of the finest soil going. So I call this kryptonite. We're really in the end of the end times, and this is the beginning of the new age. See, I've been sent to play the sage that has the message that by the proper usage of the sewage, garbage, and the foliage, we really can turn the page on the new, more abundant golden age.
So Zeke was my neighbor. My aunt lived across the street from him, so I just remember it always smelling like crap. And I remember the chickens always around.
Always chickens, yeah.
And it's my understanding that his compost on a few occasions caught fire. Is that true?
That's true. That's true. Because compost is nothing but organic matter, and it will burn if it gets a little dry or whatever. Yes, they would catch fire easily.
Now, did he own that property or was he squatting?
I think he was squatting, but that's part of Altadena. That's just part of Altadena.
Did you attend his funeral?
I did not. I was sick during that time from one of my illnesses, and I didn't get to go to, but a lot of people did.
You considered him a friend?
Oh yeah, very much so. And the same with a young black man down in the south central part of the city named Adonijah. And he was a friend of Zeke's, who I met there. He came to my garden on a regular basis, and he taught me a great deal about composting.
What was his name again?
Adonijah. And I know his real name, but I'd have to go look it up, because I always called him Adonijah.
Zeke was known for, he also did poetry and he would rap occasionally?
Absolutely, he did. Yeah. And that's when you would get to be in a party and you would dance. And you never knew when that was going to happen. It was always wonderful. But it was also part of Altadena. That's why the Altadena garden is so successful today.
It was February 23rd of 73. I began to see that the debris from every tree was pure energy, and with me in the presidency, I will personally guarantee that everybody globally can and will be set free. See, the further down I go, now we're back into maybe the 70s.
Really? That's the 70s down there?
So did Zeke live on that property at Mountain View? Or
I don't think he lived on the property, but he was close.
yeah, he was one of Altadena's most eccentric characters that I remember.
Oh, very much an eccentric character.
About 3 weeks ago, you told me that the Los Angeles Zoo gives you elephant dung.
Yes. They give us Zudu. And that's a really heavy mixture because in the zoo, they have to clean the cages with biological stuff that doesn't have problems like you do in the regular cleaning. And so it's biodegradable, and then when you add to that elephant or camel or anything that's producing a lot of doo-doo, you get really, really rich black places. And I can take you right down here on Avenue 19 across from the old city jail where you can see that Zudu. And they don't tell anybody that's what it is. They just deliver it there.
Why do they deliver it there?
Because it's free to people.
Oh, that's where they deliver it at?
Yeah, that's where they deliver it to. They don't sell it, and everybody can go pick it up.
Dude, how long have you been getting the Zudu?
The Zudu, probably 10, 15 years now.
Has any of it ever caught fire in your presence? Have you ever seen it catch fire?
No. They really do a good job at the zoo of making compost. And when we get it, it's in fine shape. It won't burn.
Zeke used a combination of his own crap.
And I'm sure that he gathered all kinds from the neighborhood and the community garden that was there.
And what do you do with the Zudu that you get?
Oh, we put it into community gardens.
Only
we just automatically use it to enrich the soil when we're starting, and then we encourage everybody to go get it when they need it, to plant in and start things in. Yeah.
Would you say elephant dung, the Zudu, would you say that's the best fertilizer around?
I think it's the best in LA. Yeah.
LA.
There are some places that you could get other, but it's best.
Describe the smell of Zudu.
It smells like earth. It smells like dirt. And yet you know where it came from and what's in there. But that's when it's done correctly and they're using the right things, the right amounts and everything. Yeah. I don't know where they do that up at the park, in the zoo in Griffith Park, but I do know it comes out of there beautiful.
I grew up on a farm. I told my parents I'll never be a farmer again, and now I teach it here in the city.
Yes, I definitely made that mistake. I said, I will never be a farmer again.
Why?
I thought it was work. Because in my case, it was cleaning up after the chickens. It was going out, gathering eggs, and cleaning up after the cows in the barn, and the pigs, and we had sheep and everything on the farms. And so it was my job to get that and put it into the compost pile. And I didn't like the smell. I wanted to be a city boy, and I wanted to go to Chicago.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from a little town called Rock Falls, Illinois. It's on the Rock River, just down from Rockford, Illinois.
Rockford, Illinois. I always tell my kids, everybody's a kid to me now. What goes around oftentimes comes back around, and you never know what's going to make a liar out of you. So don't say never or ever. It doesn't work.
Yes. Oh, it makes a liar out of you just to the max sometimes, and it gets you completely caught off guard when it does that.
So this is Los Angeles. You know, a lot of people are pretending. Some people are not pretending, but there's a lot of writers and creative people here. Are you pretty skilled at spotting liars, detecting liars?
Well, it doesn't take long to figure it out. And I never criticize or relate to somebody, because they will learn from the experience that if you said a lie and you didn't intend it, you're going to find that out. Now, if you're lying and you intend to lie, that's a different ballgame. That's a totally different ballgame. And most gardeners don't really care. They just made mistakes when they were growing up, and that's why.
What advice or message would you offer to young urban children from inner city areas regarding gardening?
Garden. Just make sure that you learn how to grow things, because you'll never eat better food than what you grow. And that's what I did to my friend who's teaching down at Fremont High School right now. We were in a Whole Foods store in Glendale, and they had just opened.
Who's this friend?
My friend is Terrence Toy, the musician. He was a musician and he wasn't a gardener when I met him. And he had this little plant in his hand, and he said, "Where do I buy that?" And I said, "You can't buy that, you have to grow that." And it was lemon thyme. And they just didn't sell things like that in those days. But they do now. And that's when I told him, and he grew it. And he changed into a gardener.
What's some of your favorite produce?
Oh,
what do you enjoy from the garden?
I like persimmons. I like tomatoes, any colored tomatoes. And most people don't realize you can have purple, well, in potatoes. You can have purple and red and yellow and all of those colors in almost everything that you grow, because they're all different from all over the world. And purple tomatoes are just fabulous if you can get them in the store. But usually what happens is people who grow purple tomatoes, they eat them all. They don't give them away. They don't sell them.
Do you like yams, watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew melon?
I love cantaloupe. I eat it all the time. And I like honeydew. And they're great because they have so much water in, and they decompose wonderfully into the compost pile, which you need. And so, everything is on that compost pile.
And so you mentioned Terrence Toy. Again, how did you guys meet? In what year?
It would have been around 2004, 2005. he was still playing a lot of music. In fact, I went dancing at Florentine Gardens the first time I danced to house music in 2006, I think it was, and he was playing. So that was my first taste of him playing. But it was that gardening thing that brought it all about. Because after I told him that, he told me he was playing music and I like to dance. And so I went to dance where he played, and it was fun.
It was fun.
And I've been going ever since.
Okay. Come to our 12th annual gathering of community gardens on Saturday, October 20th, 2018, where Al will be honored for his 20 years of service to the community. I believe this year marks the 25th year of your service to our community. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I never thought I would have another career after Jet Propulsion Laboratories, but these little gangbangers really did a good job on me.
The gangbangers turned you out, Al?
Oh yes, they certainly did. I have to give them all the credit in the world. I mean, I was a farmer, so it took me a little time to adapt farming to what I was doing, but it was those kids that got me started. And growing fresh food in the city. And now you see people growing fresh food all along their balconies. You see all of these things that are happening in the city that never happened before. Yeah.
And so I know it's early, but what are this year's special plans, if any? Or do you know of any special plans to celebrate your 25th year of community gardening?
No, I don't really have any plans, and what I try to do is I try to visit a garden, one garden a week, where I can go in and talk with the gardeners that I still know, because a lot of gardens are old people and they die and young people come in and take their place. And so I need to keep that up too. And it keeps me busy and it keeps me occupied.
Speaking of death, human composting is a process for the final disposition of human remains in which microbes convert a deceased body into compost. It is also called natural organic reduction, NOR, or terramation.
Yes.
California approved it on September the 18th, 2022. It's to take effect in 2027.
Yes.
Have you or would you consider using human compost in your gardens?
Why not? We didn't used to bury people in stones and in caskets and everything. We buried them in the ground and they decomposed. And that went right back into feeding the ground. You look at a cemetery, it always has lots of green grass. Even the ones who are now practicing that, but the old cemeteries that are built alongside the churches and the so forth in Europe, you always see all this grass and this green stuff growing there. Why? Because they put the people in the ground. And it's part of the process that we have. We just have taken Christianity or some of the religions a little more for that, and we don't like to say goodbye. But the Oriental people have the right way. They put them in a jar and keep them till they are gone, and then they dump it back into the ground. I'm all for it.
So it becomes legal in 2027.
Right.
You're in the gardening community.
Right.
Are you at liberty to say if you know of people who are using it now, or?
I don't think there is, because you have a lot of deference to that, a lot of the, a little bit of deference to using human remains, but that will pass. And it will do the right thing. And that's why they have all of these places now where you can go and have your body decompose, and then they turn it into the soil.
So do you think that human compost will outrank Zoodoo?
It'll be equal. It will be equal, because they're both going to be human and animal. We're all animals. And it's going to be the same composition in all of those places. Yes. I think it will be equal to.
Yeah. You've been referenced as Los Angeles' patron saint of community gardens.
Yes. That's a title I love.
And why do you love that, Al?
Well, patron saints, if you study patron saints, even St. Christopher and all those, and I'm not Catholic, but a patron saint is something else. They were nasty in their younger days, but as they got older, they learned, and they became loved by the people they taught. And I felt I was so bossy when I was young, starting gardening. You're doing that wrong. Now I can never tell them they're doing that wrong because they might be doing something that I don't know.
Okay.
And yes, I love that title when that magazine article said, "Meet the patron saint of Los Angeles Community Garden Council." I mean, I loved it. It was just wonderful.
I'll wait for this car to go by. Let me have a sip of this. Oh, a bug got in it.
That's okay. Bugs are okay.
Oh, no.
We can eat bugs. We eat ants. We eat bees. We eat a number of things. Oh, they're in.
It's actually just a leaf. So this question is, a few weeks ago, you expressed to me that you would like a book written about your life.
Oh, yes.
What would you like the book written about your life titled?
Oh, I have no idea. I really have no idea because, you see, I felt I had 3 distinct things that happened to me in my life. I came out here as a nurse, and I was going to be nursing, and I found out I was not a good nurse. Then I got drafted into the war in Vietnam, and I learned another thing about life. And then when I came back, I didn't know that I wasn't qualified to work at Jet Propulsion Laboratories. I just wanted to work there because I thought what they were doing was wonderful. And I was fortunate enough to be accepted. And then when these gardening kids came along, I reverted back to my farm. And it's sort of the circle of life. As Elton John wrote, the circle of life. And that's what I feel I've accomplished in my... But yes, I would like for somebody to write me a book.
Do you think Farmer Al would be an appropriate title?
Oh, I love that too. I love Farmer Al. The kids thought of that.
The kids thought
And they also wanted me, they tried to make me LA #1 gardener. No. Just Farmer Al.
Farmer Al.
And that's what, I start out with LA Farmer Al.
LA Farmer Al.
And that's what I like. I mean, it's plain and it's simple. And if I've influenced other people's lives and helped them become a good student of me, then that's what's important. Not the fact that I have a good name or I have a good title or that people remember me. It's what I did for my planet.
Wow. We're going to end it there. That's perfect.
That's really how I feel. You got it all. You did a good job of interviewing me. You had my quotes pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
I think in the future it's going to be a good deal more on environmental justice, food security. We've moved into an issue where water is now a definite situation. So I see the future is headed in a different direction, and I think it is going to be more and more urban farming in the inner city. But you have to learn.